Hello, and welcome to another out-of-breath episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel. I am one of your hosts. I'm a Tiny Habits certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach. I have lost over 100 pounds and kept it off for over 7 years. And with me today is...
Donald Weigel, and I am also one of the hosts of the show. I have lost about 100 pounds, kept it off for about 7 years, and I am really... out of breath.
I am out of breath. We switched it up. You guys don't even know. Usually Donald does this countdown to live, all right, we're going live. And I took the reins today and I did it. And it was exhausting. So yeah. I am out of breath, but I am...
I was exhausted just listening to it. And I had to just sit here and listen to her.
Did it make you nervous hearing me do it? You're like, I'm the one
Not
who
nervous,
starts.
but you were doing like a funny radio announcer voice. Yeah. So I was trying not to start laughing immediately.
It kind of messed me up. Like when you have a routine and you get out of that routine, it can really switch things up. Even at the end of the episode when we're usually like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Like if I change the wording in anything, I suddenly can't remember anything that I was going to do. So sometimes it's good to stick to the script.
Yeah, sometimes it is.
Sometimes it is. And we are going to stick to the script today by going back again to our friend BJ Fogg,
yes.
Author of Tiny Habits. I am a Tiny Habits certified coach, and I get to rub elbows with BJ Fogg on Zoom meetings all the time.
Yeah, you sure do. Virtual elbows.
Get some, I don't know if there's a virtual elbow room. I don't know. I feel comfortable with our distance. Anyway, so for the last few episodes, we have talked about the behavior model from Tiny Habits, talking about you might have the motivation to do something. You might have the prompt or the reminder to do something. But when we address the ability part, like your actual ability to do something, that's kind of where people might stumble or succeed on their habit that they want to produce.
They sure do.
And last week, we talked about the ability chain being 5 different factors that play into your ability to actually follow through on a behavior. So the 5 factors that might get in your way or help your ability to do something are time, money, your routine, your physical effort, or your mental effort in getting something done. Mm-hmm. And last week we talked about that typical problem that people have of getting home late and feeling like they need to make dinner. And we approached that issue from those 5 different perspectives and challenged you to really consider, is your problem a time issue, money, routine, mental, or physical effort? And we promised, and we are delivering, because today we are going to approach the same ability chain, but from the perspective of getting in physical fitness, something that we dread and love, something that I know for me as, from a kid, I was so negatively impacted by sort of standards of physical fitness that I figured that if I couldn't do what everybody else was doing, I just wasn't going to do it at all. If I couldn't run the mile, I might as well just walk the whole thing. It was sort of this all or nothing, and it was really embarrassing. Like, it was embarrassing to be the last one all the time, but that all or nothing kept me from making any progress. And I think a lot of us, especially people who have had weight issues, feel a lot of pressure, not only from how we grew up, but also from physicians on sort of ideals of what we should be doing versus what we're actually capable of doing.
I think we've gotten better as a society, but I still think there's a lot of shaming that goes on with kids and their ability if we're not naturally physically good at something. It's difficult to get over that. I think other kids, parents, you hear horror stories about the parents of kids on sports teams and things, and my sister was telling me about some terrible things, parents with her kids' soccer games, and they're like 12, and
you mean like the parents yelling at the kids?
Parents yelling at the kids and just being, win at all costs kind of things. And yeah, it's pretty bad.
No, I prefer to win at few costs. I want as little cost as possible.
That's right.
But again, the idea of, and I've done it too, of we feel shame if we don't live up to standards. So often, maybe we don't even go to the gym because we're embarrassed about the way we look. We are afraid to go to our doctor and let them know, like when they ask us questions like, how much do you weigh? How much are you working out? We can feel shame around that. So our goal today is to kind of help you let go of ideals and really focus on what you can control and how you can empower yourself to take care of yourself. Because in the end, and I think I heard this on Half Size Me, like, we don't actually have to do what anyone else tells us.
Yeah.
Just because your doctor suggests it or someone else holds it as an ideal doesn't mean that we can't meet ourselves where we are and be proud of small incremental improvements. So today we again are going to approach the ability chain from the problem of the ideals that others give us for fitness. So the problem today is my doctor said I need to get in at least 30 minutes of cardio activity every day. And when you are not getting 30 minutes in, if it 29 and a half minutes, no, thank you. No, that is not enough.
That is not good enough.
There is a magical force field of 30 minutes. And whatever that ideal is, the number of steps that you get, the amount of cardio that you get, we feel like if we are so far from that, why even bother starting? So I'm not going to start until I can do that perfectly. So we're going to take apart this ideal 30 minutes from the 5 different parts of the ability chain, looking at time, money, routine, physical effort, and mental effort. And I am going to start out with time. I feel like I'm like Father Time. Like I have a big clock. I don't know why, but there's a big clock that we're looking at. So again, the problem is my doctor said I need at least 30 minutes of cardio activity daily. So what is making this hard to do? Look at me. That's all you need. I am not capable of doing it. So that is what is making it hard. But here, I'm going to do it from a time category. So doing cardio, and this is my mindset, doing cardio means I'm going to get sweaty. So not only do I need to do cardio, but I also have to get a shower afterwards. So really the investment is an hour a day, not 30 minutes. And that's being generous. It usually takes me 45 minutes. So it's like, it's not just the activity. It's the activity around the activity. It's not just making dinner. It's also all the cleanup after that and the grocery shopping. So time really is an impact on getting something done. So what would make it easier to do the cardio? So instead of that 30-minute a day idea, we can switch it up. So now I've decided I'll go to the gym 2 days a week and I'll use those workouts for cardio. I know my doctor wants me to do 7 days a week, but for my current lifestyle, 2 days is better than none. As they say, don't let perfection be the enemy of the good. So yeah, your doctor wants a lot more from you, but if right now, based on your schedule, you can only do 2 days a week, then yay, like it's a place to start. And when the circumstances change, then you can adapt and add as needed.
Yeah. And so the next chain or the next link in the ability chain could be money. You could be saying to yourself, my doctor wants me to get 30 minutes of cardio every day, but I just can't afford it. A gym is $30 or $40 a month. And, if I'm only going to go a couple of days a week, that seems like a waste of money. But what if there was a smaller gym that was only, $15 a month, or what if there was, a different program at that gym that, seemed to make it, you get more value out of that money. New running shoes cost $165. That's too much for me to spend. A personal trainer is $200 a session, and a drop-in single group sessions are $20 each. I can't afford that. A Peloton bike is $1,500 plus a $20 monthly subscription. That basically could be a $1,500 coat rack.
Oh my gosh.
If I bring it in. But what if you reframe and you say to yourself, okay, my feet are worth the cost.
They really are.
Of good shoes. I need to keep my feet theoretically for the rest of my life, and it is worth that investment. What if if you really can't afford the new shoes, what if you decide, well, I'm going to do some cardio that doesn't involve me standing or running or jumping or things that use an expensive pair of shoes? What if you follow free online fitness programs? There are some great ones on YouTube. Instead of paying for that personal trainer or those $20 sessions, you look up Juice and Toya or Cassie Ho or Yoga with Adrian, ones that we've recommended on the show before. And you can do those at home if you have the internet already and access to YouTube. Essentially, that's free. What if you really are set on a Peloton? What if you lease a Peloton instead, which is possible, instead of buying one? Or what if you buy an adapter for the bicycle that you already have and turn it into an indoor bike?
Yeah.
Something that's going to be much less expensive. But a large part of this is reframing. I used to think to myself that going to the gym was the only real exercise. Getting on some piece of equipment that I couldn't afford or couldn't fit into my home was really the only actual exercise that you can do. But there's so many things that you can do at home that are less expensive. And, try those out. Think of other options instead of just throwing up your hands and doing nothing.
Well, and I think a lot, too, when we make investments in ourselves, we're telling the people around us that it matters to us. And then there's that, the coat rack thing of oh my gosh, if I don't use this every single day, then I'm going to feel shame. Why should I go, to the Y and do a Zumba class because the Peloton is sitting here and if I don't use it, we overcomplicate things by looking at our investment as either a win or a fail. But so much of activity is about, and this kind of goes into the mindset part of it, is that I am an active person. Sometimes I do the Peloton. Sometimes I, go running with friends. Sometimes I just get in neat throughout the day. Just because our doctor gives us an ideal doesn't mean, if you're dreading it, it's better to adapt than it is to just kind of be fixed on only one way of getting something done. So again, I'm going a little bit afield, but I wanted to say it, so I said it, and now it is said. So there we go. Okay, so the next one is routine, which is different than time. Again, is how do I fit this into my schedule? So my doctor says I need to get in 30 minutes of cardio a day, but again, it means getting sweaty and needing to take a shower, and it's or going to the gym is actually too far because then that adds, I need to do 30 minutes of cardio, but then I also have to drive to the gym. It's just suddenly this whole thing. So instead, what if it's, to save time on, to fit it into my routine on weekdays, I'll do home cardio workouts on weekdays, so I don't have to drive to the gym. So that's changing my routine. And then on weekends, when traffic isn't as bad, then I'll go to the gym first thing in the morning. And yeah, I'll have to drive, but I have more time on the weekends, so it's not a big deal. Maybe it's also an ideal is that 30 minutes, but if you can only do 10 minutes, that's totally fine. So again, maybe on weekdays, I'll do 10 minutes of cardio and then switch up my routine and do 30 minutes on weekends. So being flexible and adaptable means meeting yourself where you are without being rigid and literal with what your doctor is saying. It is, again, we don't have to adhere specifically to the letter of the law of our doctor. We can decide what works for us and make it work rather than just saying, well, it's either all or nothing.
Yeah, and it's just occurring to me, however, that we should have called this episode, we should have talked about 30 minutes or less because we are literally talking about 30 minutes. Last episode, we talked about 30 minutes. And so the next link in the ability chain is, does it tax you physically? Is it too much? So again, your doctor is saying you need 30 minutes of cardio each day, and you feel judged by your doctor. And if you don't comply, you feel like a failure. However, 30 minutes of cardio is exhausting. What if you just did 1 minute of cardio and then 1 minute of walking in place, and you switch that off for 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, you're still going to get 15 minutes, but you're going to make it easier on yourself. And also, there's no, like, the doctor might say you need 30 minutes of cardio or 15 minutes of cardio, but what if, you hate cardio and you just can't get yourself to do it, or it's just too much for you? It's okay to do less or to do different kinds of exercise. What if you did some strength training? What if you did some chair yoga? What if you did something that gets you moving, gets your heart rate up a little bit, and burn some calories? But it doesn't have to be straight up cardio. It doesn't have to be jumping jacks or running, or, what we traditionally think jazzercise, what we traditionally think of as aerobics. You can adjust to suit your needs. And maybe after you do that for a while, then you get yourself to a point where you think, oh, I could try to add a little cardio. You don't have to go straight from 0 to 100 right away.
Well, and I think too, and this has been really big for me, is that idea, like Donald said, about like switching off minute on, minute off, minute on, minute off, is that when I did the Couch to 5K program, it gave me like, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is how long it's going to take. I can't remember if it was like a 5-week program or something. It took me 6 months to do the 5K program. And guess what? I got to choose when. It wasn't like it was going to like electrically zap me if I didn't comply. And I think that when we stick to that compliance idea of I'm doing it wrong, we get to decide how we do it. So for me, instead of running for a minute, when I started, I was like, I'm going to run to the next mailbox and then I'll walk, and then I'll run to the next mailbox and then I'll walk. And being able to pivot and do it in a way that worked for me, repeating weeks until my endurance was better, until my lung capacity was better, I made it work for me. Like that whole question of what if I just don't quit? What if I just do it the way I need to do it to make it work for me? And it's so much more empowering than to feel like you need to fit into a box that doesn't work for you. Another part of that physical activity thing too is, and this was a really big thing for me, is, well, the Zumba class is 50 minutes. I can't do 50 minutes of like, I'm out of breath in 10 minutes. Okay, guess what? Go for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then take a 5-minute break, go back to class when you're ready, modify your moves, give it 10% of what the other people are doing, go in the back of the class and just, march in place if you can't keep up. It is okay. Like, you are paying them. Like, you don't need to comply. You're not trying out for like the Rockettes. Like, just meet yourself where you are. And when you realize that you can do a class, like, I paid for 50 minutes, I better stay for 50 minutes. You know what? Right now I'm staying for 5 minutes. Later, I'm staying for 20 minutes. I can leave whenever I want to. I mean, obviously be respectful of the class environment, stay to the back. But once you realize that you can stop whenever you want to and meet yourself where you are, instead of being exhausted and burned out and overwhelmed and feeling like a failure, it is so much more empowering. And that was like and I guess this is kind of going into the last category, the mental effort, reframing it and taking responsibility for your health under your terms. Sure, we want to push ourselves. We want to challenge ourselves. We want to set goals for ourselves. But being able to see it from, like, switching it from this is a punishment, reframing, that mental effort of fitness, reframing it from a punishment to an investment that we're making in ourselves, seeing it as like, I'm doing this for me, not for others. It is so much more empowering. It's kinder, and being able to use, the whole ability chain and asking yourself, what would make it easier for me? What would make it less like what would make me less self-conscious? What would be a step in the right direction instead of that 30 minutes? How could I work in just a few minutes of elevated heart rate to meet myself where I am and do it consistently over time? Because so many times we push ourselves too hard to start, and then we injure ourselves, or, we're so sore for 5 days that we don't go back to it. So again, looking at the investment in time, money, physical effort, mental effort, and routine, really adapting the situation to meet ourselves where we are is so critical with our physical fitness goals. Donald and I'm going to say what we said the other day. Donald and I were talking about getting back into a fitness routine. I mean, we're getting in lots of steps, but we haven't been doing a lot of strength training, and kind of getting out of the box of, well, now we need to do it every single day. Now we need, 30 minutes at a time. Meeting ourselves where we are and looking at that ability chain of how could we make it work based on our current schedule, our current desire, and our current fitness levels helped us come up with some alternative ideas about where to start with it. Instead of a whole 30-minute routine, maybe just starting with a plank. Instead of thinking every single day, what if we just did it on weekends? And when, again, we are adaptable, we pivot, and we're creative with our solutions, we realize that we have more options. This is not prescriptive. This is great. That's the ideal. It would be great to get there at some point, but I'm going to meet myself where I am. I'm going to push myself a little bit, but I'm going to challenge myself to get out of that, well, he said 30, or she, the doctor could be a lady.
Oh, boy.
But yes, that's the ideal, but I'm going to meet myself where I am with zero shame. I am going to make that financial investment in joining the gym and being okay with going 1 day a week. I'm going to make the investment in the running shoes that, make it so that my feet don't hurt. I'm going to make the investment in the subscription, or I'm going to do things for free. And that's fine until I'm in a position where I can invest more money. The more options we see for ourselves, the less backed into a corner we feel, the deeper we can breathe, the better our cardio will be, and the more we can advocate for ourselves and our doctor for the next visit. Like, hey, fancy pants, I guess I call my doctor fancy pants. No, I'm not getting in 30, but I'm getting in a solid 10 minutes a day. That's where I am right now, and that's what I'm doing, and I am proud of myself, and that's what it's all about.
And I think that a really crucial key for me was going back. I used to just hate going to the gym and having to do those types of exercises. And I would push myself to a point, there were periods in my life where I would do it, where I would go running, or I would go use equipment at the gym, and I would, sort of make myself do it for a period of time. But I always hated it so much that I eventually would end up stopping. And when I finally accepted, and this has to do with both mental effort and physical effort, when I finally accepted that, and realized that walking was actual exercise, or that, we've done episodes about NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and just trying to burn as many calories as I can doing everyday activities, and that all of that adds up and counts as real exercise and burns real calories. And I actually like walking. So instead of just assuming you have to do this 30 minutes of cardio that Dr. Fancy Pants is telling you to do,
Paging Dr. Fancy Pants.
Paging Dr. Fancy Pants, that there's probably some exercise out there that you actually like doing. Maybe you're sort of adding value to your life because you're saying to yourself, oh, there's all these great TV shows that I can't get. Maybe you get a little rebounder or a little mini treadmill that you can put in your place, and you could exercise while you're also catching up on these TV shows. Think about ways to make it more enjoyable and really reduce the friction in that ability chain that's going to get you to actually do the thing that you're saying that you want to do.
Right. And I think, you bring up some really great points about that, identifying as a problem solver and as an active person who does what they want to do. Because if we're dreading everything, like people don't keep up what they dread. And that sort of ties back into that ability chain of, and this is sort of the whole premise of Tiny Habits, is getting people to do what they already want to do, not because it's prescribed by someone, not because of society, but because it's an investment that you really want to make in yourself. And being able to reframe things, come up with alternative solutions just empowers us to be the best version of ourselves for our actual season in life, not who we were 20 years ago, but who we are right now. And I know that if we can do it, you can do it too.
Absolutely. If we can, certainly anybody can. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of We Only Look Thin. We have a whole lot more episodes out there. You can find the most recent 300 on all of the major podcast platforms, wherever you found this one. And also you can go back all the way to the very first episode of the show anytime on YouTube or on our website at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep, and if you are at weonlylookthin.com, click a doodle-doo on that Join Our Support Group link to find out more about Wolt Place. We Only Look Thin Place is our Facebook-based accountability group and group Zoom coaching group. Bonanza. See, I told you when I'm extemporaneous, it doesn't go very well. Wow. But if you are not super huge on social media, please note that these Zoom meetings are worth the investment.
Oh my goodness,
all
yes.
On their own. Getting like 4, 5, 6 opportunities a month for hour-long Zoom sessions to really go a deep dive into coaching, issues that we talk about on the podcast, and being with other people on their weight loss journey ventures. It really does make a huge difference. Like having weekly coaching for the cost of Wolt Place is kind of ridiculous. How do we do it? Because we're crazy.
Also, volume for some reason.
Nobody beats the Whiz for some reason.
Carvel ice cream, Fudgy the Whale for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But it is like you are getting so much potential value, but you need to show up. Like, I can present all of it, but you have the opportunity to invest your time and your financial resources in being part of a group that means so much to me and adds so much value. So we have 2 subscription options, a monthly subscription with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if Wolt Place is right for you. I know that the investment is worth it. You are worth it. So come and check us out.
Yes, check it out. And you can also check us out on social media if you are so inclined. We are on Facebook and Instagram at We Only Look Thin. Or if you prefer to just send us an email, you can do that as well. If you have an episode suggestion, if you have a question, if you have a compliment, or if you just like to say hi, you can reach out to us and do all those things to weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep, and take that extra minute and head over to Apple Podcast. Please, please, please leave us a rating and a review. Not only does it let us know that what we're doing after 7 years is still making a difference in your life, it also helps other people find our podcast. We have millions of downloads. We have about 700 5-star reviews. So we would like to, let's pump up the volume of that. You guys, get out there, make it happen. Leave us some 5-star reviews. Leave us a compliment. We really, it really helps keep us going and motivated to get that content out to you. So,
yeah, if you can't join Wolt Place, or if that's not your jam, the best way to help us out is to leave us that rating and review on Apple Podcasts. So please do that. Or if you give us a shout out, if you are talking to somebody and it comes up in conversation, if you know somebody who might get something out of the show, if you are on a weight loss and fitness related Facebook group, a Discord server, or a subreddit, and you give us a shout out, that also really does help the show grow.
It sure does. So if you were as shocked as I was to find out that Dr. Fancy Pants was a lady, just remember that Donald and I are an inspiration.
What year is this?
You know how, and Asian inserted. Okay,
yeah. The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.